Top 10 people who shocked the entire industry. What if I told you that one person's single decision didn't just end their career, but changed an entire industry forever? In this video, you're about to discover 10 individuals who did the unthinkable. People who walked away from billion-dollar deals, exposed dark secrets that powerful corporations wanted buried, and made choices so controversial that their names became synonymous with rebellion. Number 1 on this list? Even I couldn't believe it when I first uncovered the truth. Stick around, because what you're about to hear has never been told like this before. Throughout history, certain individuals have possessed the audacity to challenge the status quo, to look at an entire industry and say, no, this isn't right. Some paid the ultimate price, others became legends. But all of them share one thing in common: they shocked the world in ways nobody saw coming. These aren't your typical success stories. These are tales of courage, controversy, and consequences that rippled through boardrooms, headlines, and history books. So buckle up, because we're counting down the top 10 people who absolutely shook their industries to the core. 10th, Dave Chappelle, the comedian who walked away from $50 million. Let's kick things off with a decision that left Hollywood executives speechless. It's 2005. Dave Chappelle is at the absolute peak of his career. Chappelle's show is the hottest thing on television, pulling in millions of viewers every week. Comedy Central offers him a $50 million contract, the kind of deal most people would sell their soul for. And then, he vanishes, just disappears, flies to South Africa without telling anyone. But here's what most people don't know. Dave didn't just walk away from the money. He walked away because he felt the industry was laughing at him, not with him. He saw the machine trying to control his art, to package his voice into something more palatable, more commercial. In an industry built on compromise, Chappelle chose integrity over fortune. The aftermath? Years of speculation, criticism, and people calling him crazy. But Dave proved something powerful: that your dignity and creative soul are worth more than any paycheck. He came back on his own terms, stronger than ever, and today he's regarded as one of the greatest comedians alive. Transition. But if you think walking away from $50 million is shocking, wait until you hear what number 9 did to an entire corporate empire. 9th, Edward Snowden, the man who exposed government secrets. 2013. A 29-year-old NSA contractor working in Hawaii makes a decision that will change his life and the world forever. Edward Snowden had access to some of the most classified information in U.S. history. He discovered that the government was conducting mass surveillance on millions of innocent citizens, collecting phone records, emails, and internet activity without warrants or oversight. The intelligence community was operating in the shadows, and Snowden knew the public deserved to know the truth. So he did the unthinkable. He leaked thousands of classified documents to journalists, exposing programs like PRISM and revealing the extent of global surveillance. The reaction was immediate and explosive. The U.S. government charged him with espionage. He fled to Russia, where he remains in exile to this day. Love him or hate him, Snowden sparked a global conversation about privacy, government overreach, and the price of transparency. He sacrificed his freedom, his career, and his homeland to expose what he believed was a fundamental betrayal of democratic values. Transition. Whistleblowing takes courage, but what happens when someone exposes an industry's darkest secret from the inside? 8th, Jeffrey Wigand, the tobacco executive who told the truth. The year is 1995, and the tobacco industry is worth billions. They've spent decades denying that cigarettes cause cancer, funding bogus research, and manipulating public perception. But one man is about to blow the whole thing wide open. Jeffrey Wigand was a top executive at Brown & Williamson Tobacco Corporation. He had insider knowledge that tobacco companies were deliberately manipulating nicotine levels to make cigarettes more addictive. When he tried to speak up internally, he was silenced, so he went public, risking everything. Big Tobacco came after him with a vengeance. They smeared his reputation, threatened legal action, and tried to destroy his credibility. His marriage fell apart. He received death threats. But Wigand didn't back down. His testimony became the foundation for massive lawsuits that cost the tobacco industry hundreds of billions of dollars and changed public health policy forever. Wigand proved that one person with the truth can take down an empire built on lies. Transition. Corporate whistleblowers face destruction. But what about someone who shocked an industry by changing its entire culture? 7th, Colin Kaepernick, the athlete who took a knee. August 2016. A preseason NFL game. Most people aren't paying attention, but during the national anthem, San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick does something that will ignite a firestorm. He takes a knee. Kaepernick wasn't protesting the flag or the military, he was protesting police brutality and racial injustice. But in the hyper-politicized world of professional sports, his silent protest became a lightning rod for controversy. Fans burned his jersey, politicians condemned him, and quietly, systematically, the NFL blackballed him. Despite leading his team to a Super Bowl and posting solid stats, Kaepernick never played another NFL game. He sacrificed his career for a cause he believed in. But here's the twist. His protests sparked a global movement. Athletes across every sport began using their platforms to speak out on social issues. Nike made him the face of a billion-dollar campaign. Kaepernick proved that sometimes losing everything is the only way to change everything. Transition athletes have power, sure, but what happens when a scientist challenges the very foundation of their field? Sixth, Galileo Galilei, the astronomer who defied the church. Let's rewind a few centuries to a time when challenging the establishment didn't just end your career. It could end your life. Galileo. Galilei was a brilliant astronomer and physicist living in 17th century Italy. Using his telescope, he made revolutionary discoveries: mountains on the moon, moons orbiting Jupiter, and most controversially, evidence that the Earth revolves around the sun, not the other way around. This heliocentric model directly contradicted the Catholic Church's official position. The Church wielded immense power, and questioning their teachings was heresy. Galileo was summoned to Rome, tried by the Inquisition, and forced to recant his findings. He spent the rest of his life under house arrest. But here's the kicker. Galileo was right. His work laid the foundation for modern astronomy and physics. He shocked the religious and academic establishment of his time, and though they silenced him, they couldn't suppress the truth. Today, he's remembered as the father of modern science. Transition science and religion clashed then. But in the modern era, one woman took on an entire industry armed with nothing but the truth. Fifth, Erin Brockovich, the legal assistant who took down a corporation. Erin Brockovich had no law degree. She was a single mother struggling to make ends meet, working as a file clerk at a small California law firm. But when she stumbled upon medical records in a real estate file, she knew something was very, very wrong. Those records revealed that Pacific Gas and Electric had been contaminating the water supply in Hinckley, California, with a toxic chemical called chromium-6, causing devastating health problems for residents, including cancer, liver damage, and reproductive issues. PG&E knew about it, and they covered it up. Erin didn't just file the documents away. She investigated, knocked on doors, interviewed victims, and built a case that no one thought she could win. In 1996, her work led to the largest direct action lawsuit settlement in U.S. history, $333 million. Erin Brockovich proved that you don't need fancy credentials to change the world. You just need the courage to stand up for what's right. Transition, corporate negligence exposed. But what if someone shocked an industry by simply refusing to play by its rules? Fourth, Banksy, the artist who stayed anonymous. In an age of influencers, personal brands, and relentless self-promotion, one artist has built a global empire by doing the exact opposite, staying completely anonymous. Banksy is arguably the most famous street artist in the world. His work has sold for millions at auction, graced the walls of major cities, and sparked international conversations about politics, war, and consumerism. But despite decades in the spotlight, no one knows who Banksy really is. This anonymity isn't just a gimmick. It's a radical rejection of the art industry's obsession with celebrity. Banksy's work speaks for itself. He's pulled off audacious stunts, like shredding one of his own paintings the moment it's sold at auction for $1.4 million, leaving the art world stunned. In an industry built on ego and recognition, Banksy shocked everyone by proving that true art doesn't need a name. It needs a message. Transition anonymity as rebellion is powerful. But what about someone who shocked the world by changing an industry's very definition of success? Third, Rosa Parks, the seamstress who sparked a revolution. December 1st, 1955. Montgomery, Alabama. A 42-year-old black seamstress boards a bus after a long day of work. When the driver orders her to give up her seat to a white passenger, she quietly refuses. That single act of defiance ignited the Montgomery bus boycott, a 381-day protest that crippled the city's transportation system and became a pivotal moment in the civil rights movement. Rosa Parks wasn't the first person to resist segregation on a bus, but her arrest and the subsequent boycott, led by a young Martin Luther King Jr., galvanized a movement that would dismantle Jim Crow laws across the South. Rosa Parks shocked the nation not with violence or grand speeches, but with quiet, unyielding courage. She proved that revolutions don't always start with armies. Sometimes they start with one person saying enough. Transition, one act of courage can change history. But what if someone shocked the world by succeeding in a space where everyone said they'd fail? Second, Oprah Winfrey, the woman who redefined media, born into poverty in rural Mississippi, sexually abused as a child, told she was unfit for television. Oprah Winfrey had every reason to disappear into obscurity. Instead, she became one of the most powerful women in the world. In the 1980s, television was dominated by white men. Talk shows were sensationalist and shallow. Oprah changed everything. She brought depth, empathy, and authenticity to daytime TV, creating a space where difficult conversations could happen. She talked about abuse, addiction, and inequality when no one else would. But here's what shocked the industry. Oprah didn't just host a show. She built an empire. She became the first black female billionaire, launched her own network, and influenced elections, literature, and culture on a scale never seen before. Oprah didn't just break barriers, she obliterated them, proving that authenticity and compassion could be just as powerful as ruthlessness in business. Transition. Oprah redefined power, but number one? This person's decision shook the foundations of an entire global system. First, Martin Luther, the monk who changed the world. October 31st, 1517. A German monk walks up to the door of a church in Wittenberg and nails a document to it. That document, 95 Theses, challenged the corruption of the Catholic Church, the most powerful institution on earth. Martin Luther wasn't a politician, a king, or a general. He was a theology professor fed up with the church selling salvation through indulgences, essentially pay-to-play tickets to heaven. His writings spread like wildfire across Europe, igniting the Protestant Reformation and fracturing Christianity itself. The church declared him a heretic. He was excommunicated, hunted, and nearly executed. But Luther stood firm, famously declaring, "Here I stand, I can do no other." His rebellion didn't just shock the religious establishment, it reshaped the entire Western world. It sparked religious wars, redefined political power, and laid the groundwork for individual rights and freedom of conscience. Martin Luther proved that ideas are more powerful than empires, and that one person, armed with truth and conviction, can change the course of human history. From comedians to monks, whistleblowers to activists, these 10 individuals didn't just shock their industries, they transformed them. They remind us that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the willingness to act despite it. So here's my question for you. If you had the chance to change your industry or the world, but it meant risking everything, would you do it? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if this video made you think, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into history's most fascinating figures, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Because the next person to shock the world, it could be you.